Are we good? We're good? Oh, okay. My bad, guys. Hey, oh man, I forgot to silence my phone too. And really, there's nobody here. It's just me in my room. Actually, I don't even know if anybody's home right now. I'm gonna roll a blunt real quick. I'm gonna roll a blunt. I'm gonna roll a blunt real quick because I'm not giving any. You ain't sponsoring me, so I ain't showing your label. Even everybody knows this is Swisher. I'm gonna roll up, and then we're gonna talk about my life so far, and then we're gonna talk about the N word. Yeah, that N word. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this quick. This is my story so far. So I got to California, worked at Sprint, didn't work out, ended up working at a place called Urban Skillet, and was doing Uber Eats and working at a place called The Lab whenever they could fit me in. The Lab is a place that was down in Hawthorne. It was where we performed when I came out to visit LA with Keith, with the dance group, and that was actually where I got to meet Cameo. The first time that I ever worked, the first paycheck I ever got in California was because I got to set up for Cameo, and that was the same night. I ran lights too, and I actually got to meet Craig Robinson after. He was there at the end, super baked. Uh, Shout out Craig Robinson. Not that he's watching, but maybe. So, was working that, met a guy named John Strand, and now I'm gonna pause. Time out. If you are listening or watching, please go check your Instagram and your Facebook. And if you're following the Alley Music Studios, please unfollow them. I'm no longer affiliated with them. In fact, we actually had a legal proceeding. I won. I was awarded some stuff, and I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so please unfollow them. So I met John Strand, and I basically actually asked him if he needed any help because he told me he was working in construction, which was a lie, which should have been my first red flag. So I work for him. I find out that this place is this old secret historic studio. Again, you can go look it up if you want. All the information, for the most part, is true about the people that were there. There are signatures on the wall. There's footage of Red Hot Chili Peppers there. There's art, and so I worked there, and pretty much actually put myself into a bigger hole because I wasn't getting paid, really. He was kind of paying some of my bills, but even then, like, my dad had to pay my insurance a few times. My dad had to pay my cell phone bill. Eventually, my cell phone got turned off. I was using one of John's cell phones, so I didn't have a cell phone, really, and didn't really have money to go get food or anything. So I only ate when he had food or got me food, or I could figure out how to get some money. So while I was there, he brought in two people that were going to be business partners, Dan Metcalf and Bob Eubanks. And I'll talk about both of them in a little bit. But so while I was there for about 2.5 months, I think. And it was a Sunday, if I remember. He just kicked me out. Uh, he, I'm not going to get into the issues, but he kicked me out. And so basically, I was back living in my car because at the time, he had let me stay in one of the buildings. And so I was back in my car, didn't really know what to do. So I called up the lab. They told me, look, you can come sleep here. So I slept in there because they had a gated lot. So I just wanted somewhere safe to sleep. And so I slept in their gated lot, woke up, called Dan. And so Dan, like I said, was one of the business partners. Dan is an incredible man. He's one of my mentors. I actually lived with him for 8 months. I can't. I mean, he literally saved my life. I he's definitely part of what makes me who I am today, among other people. And I called him up and basically told him what happened, asked him if he knew anybody that needed a personal assistant because I knew that he had dabbled in entertainment and whatnot. So he called me back and he said, look, he's like, I have a job. He's like, I have an interview for you set up tomorrow. He was like, can you get out here to Thousand Oaks? It's at this place called Stonehouse. So I'm like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow, whatever, what time. Or I think it was actually the same day. And so I drive. It's almost a 2-hour drive from where I'm at. I'm down near South Central LA, but a little closer to the airport. And I'm having to drive basically to Ventura, so it's 70 miles. Took me 2 hours. Finally get there. All my clothes are dirty, and I smell. So he brings me into his house. I take a shower. I start doing my laundry. We go to Burlington. He buys me jeans. Gives me a pair of shoes. These pair are actually right here. Because he was sponsored by Under Armour. I think he still is sponsored by Under Armour. I'm not 100% sure. But, I guess not, because I don't think he has a soccer team anymore. Anyways, took me to this job interview. Did a job interview. Basically got hired on the spot as a barista. Started working there, and Dan basically started letting me live with him, and so I lived with him, like I said, for 8 months. For the first 4 months, lived rent free. Kind of took advantage of it, and I regret it. I made up for it, at least I think. But yeah, started paying rent, started working at the Stonehouse, was working pretty good, doing DoorDash on the side, and then I got a job opportunity. Oh, by the way, at Stonehouse is where I met Wade. Wade's going to be on the podcast eventually. Maybe next episode, I'm not sure. But I preference that by saying, I'll explain it now, Wade is actually the reason I live where I live now. In, I guess, my first house. Sort of. Not really. I live with 4 other people, but it's cool. I got a pool. It's cool, I got a pool. That's what I should start telling the ladies. That won't work. Nothing works. So yeah, I met Wade. While I was at Stonehouse, I also met this guy named Ramel. Ramel ended up getting a job at this place called Malibu Cafe, and ended up basically hiring me as a chef. And I worked at Malibu Cafe for almost a year. By the way, I lost my Volvo. My last day of Stonehouse was a Friday. My first day at Malibu Cafe was supposed to be a Saturday. Now, I quit Stonehouse because I was going to get full-time at Malibu Cafe, and they were going to pay $15 an hour. So it was an obvious choice, but I was also traveling 30 minutes to work instead of 10. Well, my radiator went out in my car, and I didn't notice until, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles down the road, which is about 4 or 5 miles too long after all the radiator fluid's out of your freaking radiator. So I guess I took it to Pep Boys. They ended up telling me something, I guess coolant got into the engine or oil got into the whatever. I don't. You mechanics know what I'm talking about. I don't. So lost my car. I had no idea what I was gonna do, how I was gonna start. I'm thinking about calling back up Stonehouse and like, hey, look, can I have my job back? Because I did leave on good terms. So I think I did like the bus and Uber for like 2 weeks. I'm sorry, bus and Lyft. Can we go back and edit that? Yes, we can. I'm not though. I'm just gonna let it run through. Anyways, So I would take the bus and then lift up the mountain, work, have somebody come bring me back down. Well, I started talking about trying to get a scooter or a motorcycle. Well, just again to show you how much Dan kind of saved me, he actually ended up getting me a scooter. Um, he basically loaned me $900 to get this scooter, and but I didn't know. Like, he came to pick me up one day and to take me home, and we're talking about it. And he's asking me about it, and he's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" Like trying to get me to think about it. And so as we walk into his house, I'm not really paying attention. I open it up, and he's got his phone out, but he like turns on the light, and I look over, and there's a freaking scooter, and I was just lost. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone on silent. It's my podcast. So, anyways, I'm an idiot. It's okay. It's just episode 1. We have a bunch more to go and a lot of learning. So, I'm lost for words because this man just got me a scooter. We had the whole deal set up, so now I could start getting to work. Well, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe a month, and then 4 weeks is a month, Justin. I told you I'm high. So like a month into it, the scooter breaks down as I'm coming down this mountain, and this is like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm 15 miles from home. And the only way to really get home is by a highway. And so, sorry, let me actually turn my phone on silent. So long story short, coworker picked me up. Couldn't get the scooter fixed. So now I'm back, square one again. Lifting, bus driving. Well, I'm not driving the bus. I'm riding the bus. But you get what I'm saying. Too much detail, Justin. Too much detail. Ugh. So I end up borrowing money from my dad and saving up some money. I bought another scooter. And that scooter pretty much lasted me up until I got into my accident. Lady pulled out in front of me, and I don't really remember much. I know my head hit something twice, and I remember getting up knowing that I was alive. And sorry, there's something on my bed. Knowing that I was alive, and again, show you how stupid I am. First thing I do is I call my dad. Pretty sure you're supposed to call 911 or your insurance company before you're supposed to call your dad. So, of course, that's what my dad tells me. He's like, well, I'm glad you're alive. Call your insurance, call the cops. The cops show up. Well, again, stupid me, there was a bottle of tequila, a little bottle of tequila, that had about that much left in it. Well, I don't really drink. I can't even tell you the last time that I drank. But, actually, I can. It was Christmas, because I was at my brother's. Sorry, I lied to you. But they saw the bottle, and one of the cops was like, oh, that doesn't look good. And I was like, I'm clean. Like, I had just gotten my tooth pulled that morning, was actually literally just picked up my medicine, and was going to McDonald's to get food, and we were going to go home and nap. Didn't happen quite that way. So the cops start testing me. They're like, put your hands out, and they're like, well, why are you shaking so much? And I'm like, they're like checking for track marks. I'm like, why are you asking me if I'm shaking so much? I was like, I just got into a freaking scooter accident. Could have died. I don't know if it could have, but you get the point. Like, of course I'm shaking. They finally let me go. They ended up giving me a ticket because they couldn't find my license, and I couldn't find my license. I might take that part out, probably. So getting into the scooter accident, I fractured my left ankle. It's the first time I've ever broken or fractured a bone in my body that I know of. And I tried to go to work the next day. Ended up having a concussion, a hip contusion, and a shoulder strain, and like I said, the fractured ankle. And there is so much noise going on everywhere around me right now, and I don't know if y'all could hear it through that silence, but that's what that silence was. If you were wondering, I wasn't just going blank on you. Although now I did go blank on you. This is a terrible first episode. Oh, so I went to work that weekend and ended up basically my boss texted me. I was like, hey, you can't be at work. You got to be 100% cleared by a doctor. Well, that took 3 months, 2.5, 3 months before I was cleared by a doctor to go back to work. So I go back to work, and a week and a half later, the crazy fires break out. Well, the fires basically ravaged through the Calabasas Mountains, which is where I worked at. And so the job was kind of affected. All the mountains, the roads were closed, everything like that. So I was out of a job, basically. And by the time they opened up the restaurant, they had basically told a bunch of people, like, hey, we don't have a position for you. And I was one of those people. Well, luckily for me, before the fires broke out, I had started driving Lyft. I got a car through Lyft and have been working through Lyft, which has been giving me wonderful ideas, great stories, a whole series eventually that I want to do on the do's and don'ts of Lyft, because there's a lot of stuff that people are just ignorant about that I feel like I've never kicked anybody out of my car because I'm a nice, decent person, and I try to empathize with people, but there's some rude mofos out there. So I got this car. I'm doing Lyft, and actually I think I was still at Malibu Cafe when this happened, but regardless, I'm doing Lyft one day. I pick up this guy. His name's Justin, ironically. It's his birthday. He's with his wife. Traveling down this highway, we're talking about my stories, and all of a sudden we just hear this crunching noise to my left. And I look over and I see a car hit the car next to me, and I try to speed up to avoid whatever is behind me. Well, I didn't speed up fast enough, and next thing I know, the car hit me on my rear passenger door. The glass shattered in. It sent me spinning. I know we spun at least once because the first time my car came around when I was backwards, I saw the lady that hit me, her car go through a guardrail, corkscrew, and then land. And I'm not making that up, I promise. And I spun, managed to hit my brakes and correct, I think. I'm not sure what I did, but I know I backed into a guardrail. I'd like to think I did something spectacular. I probably didn't. I probably spun like 3 times and then hit the guardrail. But regardless. So another accident, 2 months apart, 3 months apart. This one's terrible because I was going 65. I ended up actually, through the MRIs, I know I have, I think, 8 bulging discs in my back, which is pretty much all, but I think 2 or 3. Maybe 4. I don't know how many discs you have in your back. I know how many bulging ones I have in mine. Sorry, I have my notes so I can keep on track because I knew I shouldn't have smoked that blunt before. I rolled the blunt in the intro that I was gonna smoke during the episode, but it was really nice and beautiful outside. It was 84 degrees here in California, so not to brag. So yeah, the fires, of course, I talked about, they were crazy. I'm sure some of y'all have seen my Instagram, the pictures. Me and my roommate Wade, we went to go chasing, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but it was actually really fun too and really cool. And I don't want to say cool because it makes the fire seem like it was cool, but it's one of those like eye-opening experiences where you just realize how crazy Mother Nature and the Earth is. but yeah. Oh, also, other news. Oh, I didn't talk about Bob Eubanks. I'm sorry. So while I was living with Dan Metcalf, and while I was at the alley, I think I told y'all at the alley, Bob Eubanks was brought on. Well, Bob Eubanks is an awesome person, and I'm gonna brag about him for a minute, just because I know a lot of y'all have no idea who he is, but he coined the term "whoopee" pretty much. He hosted the Newlywed Game and a bunch of other game shows, and if you look, this is the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl, and if you look right there is the name of Bob Eubanks, KRLA, and Bob Eubanks presents the Beatles. That's right. And apparently he worked with Mick Jagger as well. I haven't finished reading his book. But yeah, he's actually kind of the reason that the Beatles ever came to Hollywood. And so that was kind of cool. It's really cool to I kind of brag about that, being friends with him. But again, a lot of people don't even know who he is, so it doesn't ever really work out and does me no good. While we're on celebrities, I've met David Hasselhoff. I met David Hasselhoff on his birthday at Malibu Cafe at 10 o'clock in the morning. I walked up and he said something about he's a very eccentric person, but really cool, down to earth. Like, talking to him was like almost talking to my grandfather, because he is like 65. But the funniest thing though was, as he was leaving, like, he was telling me about what he was doing and how his day was and all that, and I told him happy birthday. But as he was leaving, he goes, "Oh yeah, don't forget, go download and check out my new single on iTunes and Spotify." I'm like, oh my gosh, you couldn't have gone without that. Anyways, funny to me, maybe not to y'all. I saw Akon at Venice Beach. I saw Bad Baby, Cash Me Outside girl. Saw her at downtown Hollywood. Didn't talk to her at all. Met Tom Segura and Christina Pazitsky. Christina P, who's Tom Segura's husband. Great comedians, by the way. You should look them up if you've never seen them. What else? Well, my sister has a boyfriend, but he's like actually kind of a super cool dude. Calls me sir. I had to tell him to stop calling me sir. Felt good. But then I told him to start calling me sir after he stopped calling, because I'm an ass. Actually, I don't think that happened. Oh, I started working at a gas station, which is something that I have always strangely wanted to do, which again has led me to more stories and another idea to do a do's and don'ts of gas station etiquette, I guess you can say, because there's a lot of dumb stuff that goes on that people do. Oh, by the way, y'all saw I added the light? Oh, I'm getting big with it. I'm getting big with it. I just hope all this audio records, because it would suck if it didn't. Sorry, important. So yeah. Oh, and also at the Shell gas station, I'm already working to be assistant manager. So that'd be cool. And actually, my boss, I'm hoping will be on the podcast eventually. We'll have a very, very, very interesting discussion. I'm not going to release what it's about yet, but I already know the topic. And I think that's pretty much led me up to here. My room's clean, and a great man, Dan Metcalf, taught me a few things, but two of the things that I only remember one thing, and that's the truth always travels on two wheels, which means the truth always reveals itself. So don't stress when you're caught up in this situation where you know the truth, but there's these other, outside forces going against you. If you know the truth, it'll reveal itself. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, maybe 5 years from now, but it'll happen. As we see with the government. Oh, guys. So, I went to Atlanta to go surprise my dad for his birthday, which was an awesome trip. It's obviously when I got to meet my sister's boyfriend. But there was something that I asked my stepmom uh, back in, I think, November or October. Actually, I think I asked my dad, and I had my dad ask her, and we kind of went back and forth about it. But while I was in Atlanta, they basically told me that they're going to go ahead. Well, Miranda, my now stepmom, we're gonna go forth with an adoption. So my stepmom is going to be my mom, and I'm getting adopted. So that's exciting for me, especially for those of you that know my you know, the woman that raised me, and well, the woman I lived with until I was 16. I won't say she raised me, but yeah. So that's really exciting. Hopefully that'll happen before the end of the year, with paperwork and whatnot. So, all right, we're gonna pause. I'm gonna take a break, mainly because I have to pee, and then we're gonna talk about the N word. So I have to tell you, I'm very subconscious about my hands for some reason, because my roommate Wade told me from episode 0.5 that my hands look big because of the iPad camera, but I think it's just because when they're up here, I think they're just but they're just normal. Remember that? Remember that thing? We were so stupid when we were kids. I'm pretty stupid still, but these fuckers, man, just like clunk, 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 clunk. Just loud as shit. I don't even know if y'all can hear it, but it's loud to me. But then I can't hear nothing through this wall. It's crazy. So anyways, tonight's, we gonna need to get high topic. It's the N word. And I'm already high, so you just gotta get more high. Y'all thought I wasn't gonna smoke. Y'all don't know where I came from. Snellville Mafia. Smoking blunt after blunt after blunt. We will wake up, smoke a blunt. Figure out what we want for breakfast, smoke a blunt. Go get breakfast, smoke a blunt. Figure out what we're gonna do today, smoke a blunt. Go do what we're gonna go do today, smoke a blunt. Get home, figure out what we're gonna eat for dinner, smoke a blunt. Go eat dinner, smoke a blunt. Come home, smoke a blunt. Have somebody over, smoke a blunt. We would smoke a blunt after smoking a blunt. I'm telling you. I finally figured out how all the rappers stay high. You just gotta smoke a lot. You build up your tolerance. You stay high all day and just do whatever you want. It's crazy. Or you just get low THC weed. Either or, it doesn't matter. So anyways, serious. Alright. Probably noticing a different shirt and not so high look in the face. Yeah, so, if you really want to know, I talked to an iPad for like 10, 15 minutes. Never recorded any of it. It's what happens when you were going on 24 hours no sleep. So here I am, gonna shoot or gonna talk about the N word. Uh, Ended up having to roll another blunt because obviously I smoked that one yesterday and I was really high. And here we are. So that explains the different shirt. Still episode 1 up on the thing, so that's how you can always tell, because I do edit and whatnot. So shoot. Un momento. I forgot. Now the sound's gonna change. Alright. So let me light this real quick. And then we can start talking about stuff that I shouldn't be talking about. So, want to preference this whole conversation with letting y'all know that this isn't coming from some weird, just, y'all know me. If you're watching me, you should know me. You should know that how involved with black culture I am and how much I appreciate it and how much it's changed me and molded me. So with that being said, I don't think it's ever okay for a white person to say the N-word. And here's why. And again, this is just my beliefs. If you want to say the N-word, cool. That's your right as a human to say whatever you want. But you're not going to say it around me. I will call you out. I don't... It's not who I am. I don't say the N-word in my car when I'm driving by myself. I don't say the N-word around my friends that have told me multiple times that they don't care that I say it. And here's why. Because it's a point that I make and a point that I don't think people think about very often. But just because your group of friends tells you that it's okay to use the N-word, the permission thing is not transferable. Just like, quote-unquote me having my black card is not, that didn't transfer over when I'm in California. I gotta restart. I gotta rebuild a foundation. It's not like I can get Byron or Vince to give me a recommendation to the black community here in California. I have to rebuild that rapport. And and even then, even in Georgia, it was such a small community. So my point is that just because you have a group of friends that don't mind that you say the N-word doesn't mean you should, and doesn't mean you especially should in public. My issue with it is that if you're at a bar or a club or something and I'm with two people that don't care that I say it, and I start getting real comfortable saying it in my everyday life, and I say it to them in a bar, or I just say it, period, and somebody else that doesn't know me and doesn't know the people that I'm with hears me say it and realizes that those two black dudes aren't going to do anything about a white dude saying it, now all three of us in trouble. See what I'm saying? I'm going to put names to it just in case. So if I went out with Byron and Vince and I was saying the N-word around them and we're just, yeah, that's what's up, my, yeah. Ninja. By the way, you should just say ninja. If you want to really say it, just say the word ninja. It's what I say in the car when I'm by myself or when I'm with people. It doesn't matter. Although it does scare the black people every now and then because they think I'm really bold. It's only happened once in Lyft. I was like, my ninja, my ninja, my ninja. I don't know what song I was singing, but and he skirt. I was like, no, it's cool. I was just saying ninja, karate. Ha ha, chika 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 chika. I was gonna say Chinese, but I guess they're Asian. Where did ninjas come from? What ethnicity were ninjas originally? Anyways, that's out. I'm gonna set that to the side. But yeah, going back. If I'm in the club and I'm talking to Vince and I'm like, yeah, that's what's up, my ninja, and some other dude in the corner hears that, now we all have an issue. So I just there's too many people want to walk right into the face of trouble, and it's like, why even, like, if you can avoid something, why not do it? Even if you want to, like, if you're going down the highway and you know the 101 is closed, or there's a bunch of traffic, it's going to take you an extra 30 minutes, but you take the 118 all the way around. So why wouldn't you? What, because it takes you an extra 30 minutes? Okay, but you're still getting to your destination quicker and you're avoiding potential danger. So it's very logical. Not only that, but this is something that I haven't done research on, and I am going to let y'all know that very clear. But we gave the word, like, we as in white people gave the N word the negative connotation. We defined that word, and you know, these people that try to, oh, we shouldn't say it. Well, guess what? Whatever word you choose next, they're just going to turn that into something bad, okay? It's just like the word retard and the word faggot. Like, and I'm not saying those to offend people. I'm saying the words because I can. And it's, you know, no matter what term you use, people are going to find a way to use it. So why? So again, we gave it the negative connotation. Okay, the black people decided to flip it and give it their own meaning. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't hold that same meaning. So when we say it, it's about context and content. No, it's just context. And we have no context. We have no reason to say it. It would almost be like if the gays came back and decided to call each other faggots. And I hate that word, but if they as a group decided that we're going to take this word and we're going to start using it for each other as a friendly term to basically destroy the term, that wouldn't mean that it's okay for other people to keep using the term. And I get it. It's this whole free speech thing. But Jesus Christ, white people, you have all the words. Do you need to really be able to say all the words? You can't just leave one out. Just give one to the black people. Just one word. Okay? Come on. It's stupid. Don't say it. There's no reason for you to say it. It just does you no good. It serves you no purpose. Nobody's gonna think you're cool for saying it. The power of editing. Haha, blunt just appeared in my hand. This is the stupidest thing. But I don't even care. I'm really having fun. But, again, if you're white and you're around me and you say the N-word because you think you sound cool, you don't. Nobody's ever looked at a white person and been like, damn, did he just say the N-word? That cracker is the champ. No, never. Never has that happened. Never has anybody ever gained respect for a white person because they use the N-word. Not to my knowledge anyways. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments. I don't know. I could very well be wrong. I've been wrong about a lot of things in life. But that's it, man. That's my take on the N-word, really. It's very simple. This isn't as long as I really wanted it to be, but there really wasn't much to say on the word, except for the fact, at least coming from me, as a white person, except for the fact that I don't think we should say it. We're not giving them reparations, so at least give them a letter or a word. You know what I'm saying? It's the least we can do. And I know that is a joke in itself, but for serious though, like they didn't get nothing out of what 400 plus years. It's still going on today. White people, just give them the word. It's cool. I promise. I promise you. Okay. It's not that bad. It's like a community thing. Trying to think of an example. It's like Flanders from The Simpsons. Alright. Well, that's all I have to say about that. And as a very unwise man once said, and as a very unwise man once said, that's all I'll say about that. Why'd I give it a British accent?